Year after year, the United States continues to have one of the highest incarceration rates in the world.
So new on Up Late, Hope Ford has a story of one man paving the way for the next generation by teaching lessons he learned the hard way.
Nothing appears out of the ordinary here. It's a classroom filled with young men soaking up knowledge.
So what did y'all take away from that?
Like family moments, you can't get that back. Like time don't wait on nobody.
Keith Strickland is leading the course, but Keith isn't a teacher.
Y'all know my background, convicted felon.
At least not a teacher in the traditional sense.
I sold drugs across the country. I made over $1 million selling drugs.
Keith, an Atlanta native, already sold drugs and was arrested by 13.
I did a lot of damage in this community. We caused a lot of violence.
At 16, he was a convicted felon.
I became a convicted felon before I knew what the definition of a felony was.
He didn't finish high school, and before the age of 25, he was arrested nearly 50 times and served 5 years behind bars.
A lot of times we look at children and we say, what made you do this bad action? Or how did you get involved in this thing? But we don't see the life circumstances that that child is living through.
For Keith, his childhood life circumstances involved growing up in an abusive home. And at 5 years old, his view of the world was painted in the colors of blood and drugs.
I never had a mentor. So I attached myself to the people in the streets because they were there. I used to go play at crack houses. So I'm learning this behavior while I'm just a kid trying to play with one of my friends.
In 2007, Keith faced 35 years in prison, but was released early. The judge saw something in him.
A lot of times it's not a moment when a person wants to change their life. It's a moment that's presented when opportunity comes where a person can change their life.
And after prison, Keith started selling something new, a dream. He started his own company, making the transition, creating programs across the country, helping in prisons, court systems, and governments, trying to help people unlearn the things that were hurting them. Keith realized one of the best ways to do that was to get to young people before they made mistakes. In his old neighborhood, he turned to Dr. Tim Jones with Best Academy.
His message is even more poignant. His message is even more riveting because he is them.
A lot of these children who are in this school right now, they grew up in homes where their parents were using the drugs that we sold. So we made an impact on their lives, not even knowing it.
Keith looked at his own childhood, played back the horrors that blocked his path.
A lot of us have the same challenges that we face in our local communities, whether it's violence or drugs.
In this classroom, Keith is trying to turn the page to a different chapter in young black men's lives.
Pretty much all of us come from the same kind of background.
And they're listening.
It's just a phase of where you're at in the process. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Instead of talking at them, Keith encourages them to use their voice.
Can you repeat that?
Wow.
Would you rather be consistently good or occasionally great?
So they know they have a say in what happens.
My goal is to be a role model for the people under me, especially for my nephew, because he don't have no male role models right now. Everybody he see really ain't doing too much.
But Keith knows there's more work than one man can do alone.
Every year, about 25 kids in our program are murdered. Every year, and that's just in one city alone, and we got programs across the country.
He says wanting children to be better than the adults around them is a big ask.
It's a child out there who's dying because nobody was ever in their life. It's a child out there who is willing to break in somebody's car because they're hungry. It's not our children who are failing us, it's us who are failing our children.
So that's what you see here in this classroom. It's more than a former drug dealer telling young men to step up. It's a man showing those behind him how to take steps towards a better life.
It's not for children to pave a way for themselves. It's for adults to make a way for the children in the community.
All right, for more stories like this and a chance to hear from other Atlanta pioneers, be sure to watch our Black History Month special. It's called Today's Pioneers, and it airs Saturday night at 7 right here on 11 Alive.